episode, which is circles. Yes, we'll be looking at circles, and uh, first of all, we are going to do introduction. Look at circumference of a circle. We look at area of a circle, perimeter and area of a semicircle, perimeter and area of a quadrant. We move to the next slide. Okay, so now for the introduction. A circle is a round plane figure whose boundary, which is the circumference, consists of points equidistant. Equidistant means of equal distance from a fixed point, which is the center of the circle, according to Oxford Dictionary. Now, point number 2, natural circles are the moon and the sun. Then, what are the properties? Properties of the circle. It has one curved edge. No vertex. I mean, there is no point where two lines meet. It's a continuous, curve or a continuous line. Then we have what we call the infinite lines of symmetry. That means lines that can divide the circle into two equal parts. Those lines are infinite. They are continuous. They don't end. They are infinite. There are so many that you cannot count. Okay. Finally, it has a constant parameter called the pi, and that pi is this symbol you're seeing here. Is very important for circles that you recognize what the pi stands for. So it is the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter. So take note of that point, to its diameter. Okay, just hold on, let me play my background music. Okay, so let's continue. Now I'm going to say that again about yes, the last point I was talking about the pi. The pi is the ratio of the circumference of any circle to its diameter. Actually, the ratio of the circumference of any circle to its diameter is the same for every circle. Let me say that again. If I take the circumference of any circle and divide it by its diameter, the value will be the same with whether a big circle or a small circle. No matter the size of the circle, the pi, the property called pi, the parameter called pi is the same for every circle, and it has a constant value of 22/7 or 3.142. We move to the next slide. Now, identification of circle terms. First, we have what we call the tangent, the radius, the sector of the circle, the diameter, the arc, the chord, the segment, and the circumference. So these are terms we are going to define in the next slide. So I'm moving straight to the next slide, where we are going to define some of these terms. So definition of terms. First, the radius. What is the radius? The radius of a circle is that line that divides the circle into 4 equal parts. You can see this line. It's actually the diameter of a circle divided by 2. So half of the diameter of the circle, don't forget the diameter is what divides the circle into 2 equal parts, while the radius divides the diameter into 2, or it divides the circle into 4 equal parts. So that's for radius. Now we move to diameter. I've talked about it already. It divides the circle into 2 equal parts. Then the circumference is the distance around a circle. Then we have what we call the area of a circle. The area of a circle, this is the 2-dimensional region or space covered by a circle. Now we move to what we call the chord. The chord of a circle can be defined as the line segment joining any 2 points on the circumference of the circle. Now let me show you what a chord is using this diagram you're seeing right now. You can see from this point to this point, you can see it's a line segment that cuts the circle at 2 points on the circumference. So this line you're seeing is called a chord. Okay, so we have what we call an arc. An arc is a portion of the circumference, yes, of a circle. So this is an arc. We have what we call the minor arc, just a portion of the circumference, and what we call a major arc. A major arc will be from here to here, yes. So this big line, this big curve is a major arc, while this small curve is a minor arc. Okay, so we move to what we call secant. Secant, this is a line that cuts a circle at 2 distinct points So let me show you what a secant is. This is a secant. You can see the line. It cuts the circle at two distinct points. We move to what we call segment. Segment is a region bounded by a chord and a corresponding arc of a circle. So I won't waste time on that. Then we move to sector. This is a region bounded by two radii of a circle. So what is radii? Radii is the plural of radius. Radii is the plural of radius. So one radius, two radii. So the region bounded by the radius, okay, we are looking at a sector, yes. So this is a radius and this is a radius. So the region bounded by two radii and an arc of a circle, that gives you a sector. So that's what a sector means. Yes, that's what it means. Now we have what we call quadrant. A quadrant is just a quarter of a circle, while a semicircle is half of a circle. So we move to the next slide. Okay, now the next slide tells us about lines of symmetry, which is infinite. I've talked about it. There are so many, you cannot count them. You cannot count them. Okay, so what's the activity? I have an activity for you guys, and that activity is for you to go back to the first slide, go back to the beginning of the video, try to listen all over again from the beginning, all the things I said, all the definitions I gave, and come back to this present point where we are in this video. Yes, can you do that? Just rewind the video, go back to the beginning, just do a recap, then you can come back to this point so that we can continue. So that's the class activity. So we move